Vinod, in the previous module, we have looked at the different types of resource planning. These were physical resource planning, human resource planning, and financial resource planning. We also understood the basic financial needs of a FPO.
Yes, one of the important things learnt was about financial resource. But the question is, how can a FPO raise finance to carry out its business?
We will look at it in this module. Let us first look at how financial needs of a FPO evolve over a period of time. We will try to understand the evolution of a FPO to map the financial needs as per the growth of the FPO, to explore the finance options available at different stages of the growth of a FPO.
Sure, let us go ahead.
How many phases does a FPO pass through?
FPO passes through three different phases. These are incubation or startup phase, growth or business initiation phase, matured or business expansion phase.
Vinod, are there any changes in finance requirements of a FPO during each of these phases?
Yes, this varies in each phase.
Let me explain this. In the incubation phase, the FPO needs finance for mobilization of farmers, registration, management, training, exposure visits, etc. In this phase, it requires grant funds. In the growth phase, FPO needs finance for management cost, training, capital needs for initiation and expansion of business. Here, it needs both grant and working capital loans. In the mature phase, FPO needs finance for management, training, expansion of business, activities such as processing, sorting, storage, transport, and infrastructure. Here, it requires working capital and term loans.
Oh, nice to know how the needs and forms of finance change with the evolution of FPO.
During the incubation phase, FPO looks out for support to get itself established. FPO has cost towards mobilizing farmers, registration cost, cost of operations and management, training, exposure visits, etc. FPO looks for funds to create and strengthen the various systems and processes, most importantly, governance for self management. While it may start a business at this stage, they do not necessarily reach a stage where surplus can be spent towards the above mentioned cost. Initial financial support to strengthen the early institution building and operations is needed. FPO will need grant support during this period.
Yes, I have observed this in startup FPOs, which needs financial support towards institutional strengthening. Grant is a right option at this phase.
Growth phase. At this stage, the business, which is established during the incubation phase, needs to be further sustained to achieve growth. The primary requirement is the need to access capital for meeting the working capital requirements. FPO may be involved in input business or output business, which requires access to working capital. The need to invest in activities such as bulk purchase of inputs, storage, processing, marketing is needed. Credit access is required, which can be provided by various institutions. The financial need during this period may be a mix of additional grant, subsidized credit, low interest credit, or commercial credit. They need support from both public and private agencies to avail the same.
That's correct. FPO needs to receive support for institutional strengthening as well as strengthening its business. Hence, both grant and working capital is needed at this stage.
With growing business, FPO needs to improve products and services. As the FPOs get established during this phase for both diversification and expansion of business, larger finance through credit, commercial, subsidized, or non commercial, will be needed during this phase. Credit support is needed to own facilities such as processing units, processing, grading, sorting yards, storage godowns, cold storage, transport facilities, etc. This is also for meeting working capital needs.
Right. With having established the institution and businesses, FPO needs regular capital to carry out its business operations.
Having understood the changing requirements and different types of finance, let us delve a bit deeper into different types of finance available in the coming session. Vinod, can you summarize the learnings from this session?
A FPO passes through three phases: incubation phase, growth phase, and matured phase. In incubation phase, a FPO needs financial support to get itself established, which is primarily met through grants. In the growth phase, it needs to achieve growth in business, which is met through a combination of grant cum loans. In matured phase, it needs to diversify and achieve further growth, which is primarily met through loans. Relevant forms of finance for each of these phases needs to be considered.